And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the business podcast, jobs podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, I do multiple things like this podcast. I'm sorry. I was trying to get the GarageBand link all the way, the timeline all the way back. I need to have a clock going. I don't have a clock going. I don't know what's going on anymore. Here we are. Welcome back into the show. I haven't done an episode in 3 weeks, I guess. Mostly because, well, 1 week I took a break, and then a couple other weeks I said, there's nothing to talk about, baby. Actually, I did just see that somebody, a recruiter that I talked to a couple of times at Warner Brothers, is leaving the company. And at one point he said, I'd like to thank all these people. And he goes, and I also like to thank God, for carrying me through and taking a chance on this boy from Harlem. And this is so funny to me, to the very least. I wrote in the comments, big ups to God. Everybody else is like writing like important things. I'm like, big ups to God. I think it's funny. Anyway, I'm never going to get hired anywhere else. So what's been going on in the world of jobs? Again, I mean, truly nothing. Truly nothing. Skydance apparently is met. Well, Paramount was thrown another another offer for a job. What am I talking about? Let me slow down, because this is not something I want to cover. I just want to mention it in passing. But Edgar Bronfman, Bronfman, sent an offer over to Paramount, apparently. And Paramount's taking up, is like flirting with the deal. It's a $6 billion proposal from Edgar Bronfman Jr. for Sherry Redstone's National Amusements. And Skydance is mad because, yes, legally they are in I think it's more than a handshake agreement. But David Ellison offered $8 billion. Anyway. And that's pretty much the thing that's been happening, besides the DNC. There's like truly nothing else has been happening in jobs. This actually happened earlier this week. This comes from the New York Times, written by Ben Castleman. The U.S. added 818,000 fewer jobs than reported earlier. The Labor Department issued revised figures for the 12 months through March that point to greater economic fragility. Fewer jobs were added in 2023 and early 2024 than what had previously been reported. If you pay attention to the job market, at the top of every month, at the first Friday of every month, jobs are reported by the Labor Department, and they say, 600,000 jobs were added, 200,000 jobs were added, 242,000 jobs were lost, whatever. It's just, we look to see, it shows whether the economy is doing well, whether job seekers are able to find jobs, whether people are seeking jobs, because it's looking for able-bodied adults, I believe. And this past Wednesday, when this episode should have come out, actually the day before, the Labor Department said monthly payroll figures overstated job growth by roughly 818,000 in the 12 months that ended in March. That suggests employers added about 174,000 jobs per month during that period, which is down from the reported 242,000, which is a revision of about 28%, negative 28%. I don't know. I assume that the original figures every month, let's say, it's about to be September. So I figure, do you remember? I figure that those numbers are guesstimates, So we're going to get so in September we'll get the numbers for August. Because I don't think I've ever seen or at least noticed some type of a revision of this scale. The revisions are preliminary, and they're part of an annual process in which monthly estimates based on surveys are reconciled with more accurate but less timely records from state unemployment offices. So people for applying for unemployment aren't that's the real. Those are the more concrete numbers as opposed to Target, Starbucks, Paramount, whatever, Apple saying, hey, we have all these applicants. We hired, this many people for jobs, and they're reporting it to the government. The new figures will be incorporated into official government employment statistics early next year. The updated numbers are the latest sign of vulnerability in the job market, which until recently had appeared rock solid despite months of high interest rates and economists' warnings of impending recession. I see the same people on my LinkedIn. I stopped going on LinkedIn. LinkedIn sucks. Because now I see the same 2 jobs, and then I see stuff that they call producer jobs, but they're at companies like Dale's Construction. You're going to be producing buildings. Any Hoosers. But I see people who hired me at Warner Brothers, who worked with me at CNN, who worked with me at NBC. I don't have anybody from the Weather Channel on here. And for good reason. But they, like me, still cannot find full-time employment. I don't know how they're making money. Well, they all had, all those people, I'll tell you this, had salaried positions. Me, not so much. That's not how it works for Chad. I'm wondering, and now I as I scroll through LinkedIn now, I see that it is the end of summer intern season. Obviously, colleges have started back up. I wonder if that is also going to affect jobs, because now, an intern, 7 interns probably did the work of, one person at a production company. Maybe just hire a person to handle that, Just saying. More recent data, I'm still reading the article, which wasn't affected by the revision, suggests job growth slowed further in the spring and summer, and the unemployment rate, though still relatively low at 4.3%, have been gradually rising. I don't know how, especially outside of my industry, but I don't know how jobs are going to get better. I mean, if more plentiful. If let's just look at, obviously, I'll stick to my lane and look at the entertainment industry. How are jobs going to, how are we going to have a proliferation of jobs? I was trying to use a bigger word. Sometimes you just can't. I read books. I read articles. I have 2 subscriptions to news, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. I'm thinking about dropping the Wall Street Journal because, frankly, I'm sick of that conservative leaning. I'm also dying. But if we, Paramount just laid off a bunch of people. Warner seems to be done with layoffs. Actually, I don't even know. I don't know. I mean, but you need people to make TV shows and movies. As I had that interview with the gentleman from Warner Brothers a couple of weeks ago, and I got an email, I think last week, that said I didn't get the job. And then as I load up my work day for Warner Brothers, I see that every single job that I applied for, even though it says my application status is under consideration, I see that they're all blacked out and you can't click on them, but they're still listed under active. as opposed to I go to inactive, and there's a couple hundred jobs over there. I go to inactive, and they're all grayed out. I wonder. I just wonder what that means, because there's a couple of jobs that say active, and I applied to that in March or February or January. I'm under consideration, baby. Give me a call. I'm not doing anything. I don't know. Why even go through the hassle of having the interview in the first place? There's no jobs here. I mean, there's nothing I can do. Everyone thinks it's so easy just to change routes. It's not, baby. It's not. I mean, as I look now, there's only 89 jobs at Warner Brothers in the Atlanta area, and I don't fit any of them. They're like a security architect. Okay. Now let's go on to this next one. If you hadn't heard, Starbucks has a new CEO, and is Brian Nickel, I guess, and he is from Chipotle, I believe. He's the new chief executive of Starbucks. Yes, he is from Chipotle. He's replacing Laxman Narasimhan, who's leaving the company after over just a year. But the thing about Brian Nickel, two things that I noticed. I didn't notice. Two things that are mentioned in this article. Written by Ali Watkins, the Starbucks CEO's new commute. Here's something impressive. 1,000 miles on a corporate jet. It's crazy. Also, apparently when it was announced that he was leaving Chipotle and coming over to Starbucks, the stock went up like crazy. 25% surge. The reason that happened is because he did help change the direction of Chipotle. This is all stuff I heard. I'm not like sitting listening to the fast food wire, reading the fast food wire. Oh, Burger King's coming out with a new plant-based chicken sandwich. All the fast food news I get is through a guy named The Report of the Week on YouTube. He reviews fast food. He doesn't chew with his mouth open. He does not talk while he's chewing. He just sits there politely and eats the food. And he's like recording himself. And you have to sit, and he got a 20-minute video, and he's just sitting there, and he'll eat the sandwich, and he'll look up at the camera every so often and be like, not even making a sound. He'll just like nod, just chew, and then he'll show you a cross section of whatever he's eating. And then he'll finish chewing. He'll put the food down if it's a handheld thing and he's still eating. He'll put the food down and wipe his mouth with a napkin, take a sip of his drink, it's usually water. And he says, "Well, guys, that was the burger." And he'll give a review of the burger or whatever. I think it's so funny. He's a nice guy. He's the only person I want to see. Him and Guy Fieri are the only two people I want to see eating on camera. Otherwise, if you eat, I would skip or I turn the channel or whatever. Yes, he commutes 1,000 miles. He lives in Newport Beach, California, and he goes to the company's headquarters in Seattle on Starbucks' corporate plane. They call it supercommuting. And they, as in people who commute, they call it supercommuting. And it really shows how much companies are willing to work with somebody if to work through their schedule if they live somewhere else and they think they can turn the company around. The details of Mr. Nichols' employment terms became public after Starbucks filed his offer letter and contract with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which you can read. Oh, stock ownership. Let's see. This is an article, a link within the article. As a senior executive, our executive stock ownership guidelines will apply to you. The guidelines require covered. You're okay. So he has to have the stock for 5 years of becoming subject to guidelines. Your start date, your minimum required ownership level will be 6 times your annual base salary. Wow. Okay. He can get life insurance, maximum additional. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. You'll receive partner life insurance coverage equal to 3 times your annualized base salary paid for by Starbucks. You may purchase an additional 2 times your annual base salary for a total of 5 times your salary, up to a maximum additional life insurance benefit of $2 million. Okay. Executive physical exam. Ooh la la. Insider trading, coffee and dairy hedging policy, restrictive covenants agreement. Oh, this thing keeps going. I was just reading what was okay. Wow, he gets the incentives for him are 100% company business performance, 40% revenue, and 60% operating income. Wow. Signing bonus. A $10 million signing bonus. How much is he getting paid? Base salary is $1,600,000 per annum, so per year, prorated for your any partial year based on actual days of employment. Okay. Remote office. Promptly following the start date, the company will establish, with your assistance, a small remote office in Newport Beach, California. The company will employ an assistant of your choosing for such office, subject to reasonable consent of the company. The office location will be maintained at the expense of the company. They are bending over backwards for this guy. Holy cow. And that signing bonus is $10 million. Is insane. Replacement grant. You will receive a grant of company equity in consideration of equity that you are forfeiting by leaving your current employer. The replacement grant, so he's getting paid for the money that he's missing at his current position, or his last position at Chipotle. What? The replacement grant will be for a number of shares of common stock of the company with a targeted grant date fair value of $75 million. $75 million in stock, plus the stock he's getting from the company, plus that $10 million, plus his annual pay of $1.6 million. The replacement grant will be, hold on, what's this $80 million thing? It's going to have a fair value exceeding $80 million or less than $75 million in each case. Okay, whatever. All right, so $75 million. The replacement grant will be delivered 60% of in the form of PRSUs and 40% in the form of RSUs. I don't know what that means. That's crazy. Termination. What's the severance? Oh, they don't mention that. Okay. Interesting. That is so crazy. Wow, this guy's getting paid. Executives get paid. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so this is all about remote work for a CEO. He gets 2 offices. The one in Newport Beach and then the one in Seattle, excuse me. That's the way that these companies will do anything for these CEOs is just insane. Many executives of large companies have always been on the road regularly, and relocations to corporate headquarters have often been more performative than practical. Among other high-profile examples that have been widely reported is Charles Scharf, who took over a troubled Wells Fargo in 2019 and did so, it's probably after they were found guilty of making fake bank accounts, and did so from New York, commuting regularly to the bank's San Francisco headquarters. Lydianne Jones runs the online dating empire Bumble, whose headquarters are in Austin, Texas, from her home in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Wow. More than 17% of public companies sampled employed a remote chief executive at some point. That's insane. David Calhoun, who took over Boeing's chief executive in 2019, faced criticism over his remote work habits. Yeah, dude. Look at all the problems with the planes, my man. If CEOs can remote work, then how come people are getting it? OpenAI wants to bring you back in the office 5 days a week. Nothing phone company wants to bring you back into the office. No, everybody deserves a chance to work from home if the work can be done from home. That's so stupid. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. I didn't think it was going to go down that way. I thought we were going to talk about this guy flying on a plane, but I had not clicked on that link and read that. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people. 11 years of C Plus Comedy. I did not talk about that in the past 3 weeks that I have not been doing this show. C Plus Comedy turned 11 years old. I've done interviews with hundreds of people. I've done so many videos. I've done news time. I've done so many podcasts, just hours and hours and hours of me talking. Nothing incriminating. One day this website is going to blow up, and there's going to be those people that scour, and they're not going to find anything bad. They're just going to find a very sad person talking to himself over how many podcasts have I done? Over 4 podcasts. Actually 5. Well, the first one's out there, but over 4 podcasts, you're going to be like, this guy's insane. And he's not funny. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to the website, youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see video versions of the other shows, the Constitutionals podcast, which is the entertainment business news podcast, and Late Night Lately, which is the late night show. You can follow us subscribe to those wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at cpluscomedy. Follow me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. Job.